Good evening, everyone. System Chalk here with the 162nd episode of Book of Hours, playing as the artist, our first run on YouTube. And we actually finally cleared out my list of lessons to learn. Now, I've got quite a bit ahead of me, so we're going to jump right into it. We will bring in Mrs. Kill again. Mrs. Kill's mood always improves when I drop by. If you don't choose a topic, Mrs. Kill will offer help as a friend. And Oriflamme. So we've got the Encircling Tantra. Now, I don't think this is going to get me anything too dramatic in terms of, new secrets of the house or anything along those lines, but I think it's still good to get more books in the library. So, librarian, we would like to offer you this opportunity to purchase the Encircling Tantra. It's a pretty easy scale text and will actually improve Horns and Ivories, which we just took a crack at. Now, let's jump in right away on the on Ava's desk and not leveling up, but reading Nyx Abelix. So here we are. We've got Nyx Abelix. We will take Desires and Dissolutions. This is in Fusine, so we'll add that. And then the Wormwood Dream should take care of everything. So Moon, a culmination. I can master this mystery. Enough Moon to match Mystery Moon. Now we may still be able to apply ourselves to the Edicts Martial. So I'm not going to spend too much more on that. We don't have that much to worry about for Edicts Martial. I think I'm going to use... I do want the Old Wound, so I don't need to really worry about restoring the Wormwood Dream quite yet, but I'll make the Old Wound with the Fet. So explore an Old Wound to awaken the violent resonances within. And I think probably I'm going to want the Grail out of the Newman. So I'll use the Fet for that unless I completely blew... No, so we'll be fine with Wolf Stories. What I was maybe a little worried about here is that... so it's got Moon and Scale. So that is going to be a bit of a liability when it comes time to level things up. I've only got 1 health, and I've been using the Tryst for other things. But, that's life, and maybe that's where I start using the elements of the soul over the course of the day. So, before I go too much further, let's work on our sky as well. So they're both 16. The Origins of Hours is kind of neat, so we're going to save that for later. So we take the Focus of Amber, and I take the Didymos. So there I would use a Faust and Applebright Euphanies. Right, and then we're short. Now, surely I wasn't... Yeah, no, Stargull Lake is what I want. Okay, I can master this mystery. Enough sky to match Mystery Sky. So I am going to want to think about how I can create Stargull again. And again, that might be something that I need to wait on, but I'll make maybe 1 replacement and one for future use. But that's not the #1 priority right now. Okay. So I would like to recover a Didymos at some point, but I may need to wait. Let's go for a Whist for the day. I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There is no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. And I do have some leftovers, so let's have a chat with Terrence. I realize that that's going to keep me from getting memories from Mrs. Kill for a bit. Satisfy this creature's appetite. Food will make a hungry beast or a wild one cooperative. And we've got another sunny day, so I might actually be able to turn that into a Didymos when all is said and done. Mrs. Kill stands ready to help. You always cheer me up, she says morosely. So again, plenty that I can do to restore the elements of the soul. Right now we're just letting study do its thing. Oh yes, sorry, I said I was going to try and get a Grail memory. So let's go... I'll probably use the core for this. Mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. Alright, I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. This will complete once dawn has come. So there's a few tasks that I have ahead of me. I would like to, if I can, restore the Daidumos, which will also mean restoring the Ascendant Harmony. I would like to... I'd like to get the Wormwood Dream back as well, so that may mean using the old wound, and then of course we'll just use the we'll have to recover the old wound then. I think that would be it for persistent memories for a while. And then of course level up the relevant skills. There is a treasure of the house that I've been wanting to unlock for a while. And then there's also some more exploring that I'd like to do, but right now there's a specific reason why I've been focusing on the texts. And this is just kind of a waste of time, but this is also an opportunity for me to do that, because in the end there's not that much that Mrs. Kill can give me that I can't get from somewhere else. Right now we're sort of sitting on a lot of elements of the soul, which is why I don't mind sort of recycling at the Sweet Bones. Alright, a full Billy makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the Ministry of Agriculture. Against my better judgment, I will restore the Whist and move gingerly while the pain lasts. I think... yeah, so we're one short here. I'm trying to remember the other Moony things that I have. So I don't think the bones... yeah, the bones have scale. I'm not opposed to using the Eigengrau here. It's just not like a reliable way of restoring it, but we'll put that in here. Recall a forgotten crime of moon and winter. So this does leave me behind in terms of leveling up the moon stuff, but we already knew that we were sort of behind behind the 8-ball on the wolf stories. Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. Now, remembering we want to go to the rattling tunnels. So with Mrs. Kill, she starts with 2. We can actually, it's not a bad idea for me to write this down. The Sun Disfigured, a scroll of anthropoderm parchment written in the golden ink called Uzalt. The author of the text calls herself the Elegabline. Sometimes she seems to be Sunset Celia, the Watchman's name. Sometimes she seems to be Lady Tryphon, the Grail Long. It is unclear whether these are separate entities or the same person. It may be unclear even to the writer. The flaws in the Sun's plan are elucidated. The Sun's plan itself is never entirely clear, but it is a project of some kind to enter, possess, or surrender to the glory, the pure light above the Mansus. This book suggests ways in which that plan might fail. So the Sun's weakness, the Sun's sins, and the Sun's scars are our salvation. There are histories where they will trap us, prevent us from rising to eternity. Alright, so I'm going to take a quick minute here to do some numbers on Mrs. Kill. So she starts with 2 Grail. So the Newman gets me 5, so that brings it up to 7. And we can also add the spice scales. So that's worth 1. That brings us up to 8. Now that incidentally is not the only tool that I can use, by the way, but so I've got my Arab plus, or plus Arab. So that's good for 3 Grail, so that brings us up to 11. So what we really need in this case is 4. Now if I go to the pantry, the Ruby-Wise Ruin is sufficient there. What I was thinking we might need would be the Sacrament Callicite. And I suppose that would save us, you know, things like the spice scales or whatever, but I think in this case here, let's just keep it simple. Now, I don't know if that's something that I want to pursue today, but it is an option that I have. I think a lot of this kind of comes down to whether or not I want to use her for memories. Actually, you know what? Ooh, the fear is helpful. There it is, it can be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. Okay, so I think I am going to commit to boosting up Mrs. Kill. This does, again, it is I am losing the opportunity to make something of the memories that she'll generate me. But I like this idea of getting her ready to open up another room. And I think I should still be able to make some things happen with my various elements of the soul, even if I just wind up making like a replacement Eigengrau or something like that. Okay, so Nixabalix, a grim treatise on those feats that occur, on those feasts that occur, those feasts that are not to be witnessed. The Alkalites, who feasted on their children and became monsters, and the dragon kinds among the Carapace Cross, who feasted on our flesh and became monsters. The Calvites, who drank of Echidna's bounty and became monsters. Marinette, the Legion, so young, so hungry, all her children cannot slake her thirst. When Moth rose, another held the flaying key, but at the Grail's bidding did Marinette consume that she. So another fear out of that, and wolf stories. Better now. And the focus of Amber. Omar the Blaze spent 7 years manning a lighthouse in Tyre in atonement for the extinguishing of a sacred flame. By the end of his stint, he was so terrified of fire that he could not stand to share a room with a candle. This work was written in partial penance. Omar claims the hour called Watchman is both a god who is flesh, an hour who is mortal, and also a god from light, an hour who descended from glory, but adds finally that the Watchman's origin is triple, and that in essence he is Amber. The Watchman, according to Omar, was once another hour entirely, who ascended into the glory to escape efforts by other hours to send him to nowhere. It may be that Omar's sense of persecution creeps into the narrative at this point. Certainly it grows less coherent, and the last part is devoted to attempts to prove that eyes, eggs, and the sun are all in some sense conjunct. So, revelation for our trouble, and glaziering and lightsmithing. This is certainly going to be quite a bit that I need to balance. Okay, so let's see realistically what we can work with here. So glaziering and lightsmithing, we need need what? 3 memories. Okay, so we've got the Revelation, Sun. That's quite the challenge. Wolf Stories. We actually just need the 1 right now. So honestly, leveling up Wolf Stories is the easiest. That's the no-brainer here. I'll move this up to 4 in anticipation of all of this, of course. There's always more to learn. Yeah, so the glaziering and lightsmithing I'm feeling a little uncertain about, but we'll see where we stand. I still have time in the day, so I am going to still work on improving Mrs. Kill to what I need. Eagerly we anticipate our work. I'm just trying to think if there is any wisdom in me. I will try and bring back the Faust, I think. In summer, I am sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. So I could level up with the Whist. That's not the real priority here. It's more about trying to recover some other things. And again, all of that'll sort of depend on how the memories play out. Skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. And let us hope it is equally possible to forget this again. I can probably go and try to... Yeah, you know what? I know this is a little reckless of me, but I'm going to recover that old wound right away. Explore an old wound to awaken the violent resonances within. Memories don't last long outside books, but it's made the difference for the day. Also, I foolishly used the ink when I could have used the fife, but that's fine. That, you know, little arts and crafts isn't the end of the world. Proffer a tool. I can lend my assistant something to help increasing their abilities. I think what I'll do is I'll try and restore the elements of the soul that will earn me some money. That way, as sort of a last-ditch effort, I can, you know, I can earn a little money at the end of the day if I mess everything else up. Oriflammes, thanks you for your custom. All right, so we'll put this on the shelf. This is definitely not going to be a difficult one for us to handle. Tool has boosted their aspects appropriately. So the last thing that we need to do is give her the Ruby-wise Ruin. Might be nice to make a replacement of that at some point, but I can offer my assistant something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. Better now. Okay, and yes, I will apply the health in this case. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. So the trick here is basically, if it all falls apart, I have at least one element of the soul that I can use to try and earn a bit of money out of. The hope, of course, is that it doesn't fall apart. Now, the one thing I do want to try and do is build the Didymos. So let's maybe start at the solar altar. Now, some options are better than others. So I need 3. Okay, so this would be a case where I use the tool for sure. Evoke a chilly sky influence. The Eigengrau might be something that I make, but that is not a high priority right now. Okay, Glacier Lightsmithing still needs 1 memory, if I recall correctly. That'll eventually turn into a 6, so let's get that. Okay, so I'll set aside 1 whist for that. I am getting my heart back. I would need 2 memories for... Okay. Technically not even 2. Okay, so we'll see what Mrs. Kill winds up giving me, but I am reasonably sure we're actually going to be able to walk away with some goodies by the end of today. In fact, one of these should probably already get a... Yeah. I'm going to make a Newman right now, because if nothing else, I can just use that to level something up. Move gingerly while the pain lasts. Down to the Grussians. This has boosted their aspects appropriately. Okay, so we'll see what... we don't have that much more time left with Mrs. Kill, but we'll see what we can get out of the day. I imagine I'm going to need to make a decision pretty quickly about what I commit. Excellent. All right. There 'tis and can be no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent. Now, so this might seem counterintuitive, but I'm actually going to apply the wolf stories right away here. And this is just because I need 2 memories, and it's not that hard for me to get the earth sign back. Oh, easy for me to say, but I do actually need... I do need the health for that. There we go. Better now. So that just makes it a little bit easier for the next day. Now, let's say we still want to hang on to the metal just in case. Or no, I don't. I can hang on to the metal. But I do want to do this finally. So the Altar of the Knot. History is woven, a knot as a testament. And it's been a little while since I've read this text. Oh, did I get... No, not Desires and Dissolutions. It should be Trides Mahaira. Reveal a treasure of the house. Make the proper invocations to the 3 to reveal a treasure of the house. Alternatively, I could do Hill and Hollow Make proper invocations to the powers below the earth to reveal a treasure of the house, but we will make it to the 3. Obviously, I could have done that earlier, but both earlier in the playthrough, earlier in the playthrough, later in the day, but we're doing it now. Okay, Newman's son's weakness. We won't read the text again. So I can at least see what Mrs. Kill gives us, because if she winds up giving us something with lantern or sky, I can turn that into... Oh, good for wolf stories, actually. So we'll still keep talking with her to see what comes out. But at this point, I can use the metal to get my earth sign back. And I don't see there being any other purpose for the metal right now, so... The skill is now level 3, its power aspects have also increased. So, what would it be? In a very surprising turn of events, it could turn out that we get something with scale or moon, and I would definitely use the old wound in that case to level it up to the final point. In fact, we may still be able to do that even with the arrival of the... Oh wait, no, that I wouldn't, because I wouldn't have the memory, right? I am willing to wait for the lantern though. So yeah, no, we're gonna sit tight. Again, there's sort of this remote possibility if I bring back the health, some things could kind of tilt to my advantage, but I don't think it's really worth hoping for that. Hindsight's not that hard to get. So I could do something like use the Wormwood Dream or whatnot, but Solace. I mean, the sky is kind of nice, but let's say we take that overnight with us, because I can use that to level up Glazier and Lightsmithing. On that note, let's at least make what we can of the memories we have. Another fruit plucked from Knowledge's tree. Okay, so nothing to talk with Mrs. Kill about. We've got a couple of things that are going to resolve on their own. But here, the rattling tunnels, the dead do not walk here, but their eyes are upon me. I can quell them, or I can feed them. There is a smoothed hollow at the altar's foot, something coiled like a serpent, but stiller by far. Serpent-Root, a mass of rootstock, shiny with age, but still somehow viable. Tiny spidery scratchings marked with embedded eggshell shards encode a cryptic message. This object houses a Newman, a truth so powerful it can perhaps believe itself. So this is not that hard for us to read, incidentally. The nectar, I mean, we've already got rights of the roots at such a high level. We could read this without any, using any element of the soul. But that wasn't really the point of getting it. It was just a chance for another secret of the house. All right, the dream of a star is not apparent to the human eye, but its presence, once felt, could not be mistaken for anything else. So we'll still want to restore the Ascendant Harmony, but that's not going to be too hard for us. And then we'll have our Earth sign before the evening is finished. So a lot of the focus tomorrow is going to be on Glazier and Lightsmithing and wolf stories, although I'm not opposed to reading the text when, when the day crosses over. I do want to be a little thoughtful about how the day is... how the rest of the season's being taken care of, because I do technically have three memories that I need to level up, and they're not trivial. Like they're not the hardest ones that I need to deal with, but they're also not They're not the low-level stuff like I was working with before. Anyways, Duratio Quircum. In English, the title translates roughly as The Account of the Oaks, but this is Nathaniel Darcy Ever's fascinating, if haphazard, survey of the occult properties of every tree that he can find, not just oaks. In Persia, Taxus Picata, the yew is called Sorkdar, which is the red tree. There they had long understood the Grail root. In later times, the great king of Pontus had beehives set in the branches of the oldest of the female trees. The berries of the Pontine yew open the door to death, but the honey of their flowers opens a different door entirely. This was not the great king's Mithridate, but one who has suckled at the great yew fears poison no longer. Perhaps they should. Nathaniel is here distracted, however, by the toxic properties of certain inks. He does mention more usefully that the minor ink of power Ugol can be brewed through the rites of the roots with assistance of the aspect nectar. Okay, and I think that is it for our... I think that's it for our session today. Like I said, there's plenty for us to do. So we've got 2 books which house Newman that we can read. And we're capable of reading these. It's just a tablet, a book with very few pages. Does this count as a tablet? Interesting, it doesn't. Yeah, I kind of like that I've got a few more options opened up for me. We do have other parts of the house, incidentally, that we can try opening up as well. Again, it's just kind of a question in terms of where I want to direct my attention. So we've got 2, given how we handled today, we clearly have 2 books that we could read at the same time. But I think what I'll do is I'll digest my existing lessons, and we'll sort of take things sort of slow. We'll take things one at a time, and see how the day sort of unfolds. I'm not too worried about anything like Numa suddenly hitting me, but I do sort of want to make sure I have a pretty ordered way of reading lessons. If nothing else, just because it means I'm less likely to neglect things, right? So at some point I want to get, another Eigengrau. Well, I'm probably not going to make that if I'm chasing down lessons. And I can sort of repeat that story a few times over, but better to do that when we are actually playing. So anyways, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.